Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video. I've had several people ask me in the last week about automating an opening range breakout strategy. They use Option Omega to test their orbs, and they specifically have asked, hey, how do I set up webhooks on the Option Omega automation platform to automate my orb? And the great news is you actually don't use webhooks. It's just a couple clicks to automate an orb. So let's look at how to do that, and then we'll take a few minutes and look at what is an orb, how do you set it up, and what are some common variations on the theme. Let's get into it. Okay, we've got a backtest pulled up. This is an orb from the Build a Backtest Portfolio class on Option Omega Academy. We've got it pulled up. We're going to click Create Automated Strategy. We're going to click Is Active. We've got a broker account here already linked. We're going to do a fixed quantity of 1, boom, and then we're going to scroll down and click Save. That's the whole thing. That's it. Now, when you're doing this, I'm going to go back into this strategy a little bit. You might want to look at the entry execution and dial that in. And of course, these settings are totally user defined. So this is an opening range breakout, meaning that we're going to enter the trade when the market's going up. And you can backtest orbs to the upside or downside on Option Omega. This one's to the upside. So what some folks might do is they might add an offset. For instance, if you had a 10-cent starting offset to get in and a negative 10-cent offset to exit, that will give a more aggressive fill on both the entry and the exit. It's also, and this is totally up to the user, the ability to customize the interval and the time attempts. So if you wanted to enter more frequently, say you wanted to enter 3 every 3 seconds, and on the exit you wanted to enter even more frequently, this will let the automation platform iterate even quicker. Also have the ability to add an entry window. But since we're doing a floating entry time, I'm not going to use that. So this is just a very quick and simple way. This is an automated orb. There it is. That's it. Now, let's take a look at what the orb actually is doing. Okay, here is this orb backtest, and there are infinite ways to backtest an orb, an opening range breakout. This variation, which is a call debit spread, long a 45 delta call, and short a 30 wide short call, is from the Academy classes I mentioned before. And actually, if you take that class, there's a better version of this on there. So I'd encourage you to check it out. We'll work with this one. Here's a quick model of what a call debit spread looks like. And this is not an opening range breakout. I just simply did a 45 delta 30 wide call debit spread, 0 DTE, like the same structure of this backtest. It's so simple. And you can look at it and basically see you're just long delta. You just need movement. If we don't get any movement, this thing is going to finish out of the money. If the movement ticks up, our break-even point is the strike, long strike, plus whatever the cost that we paid was. And it's super easy to see. Our max profit is if we finish past the short leg. So 66.80 in this case. Again, this right now, today was a dumpy day. There was definitely not an orb upside that would have met the qualification. So that just allows you to see the visual structure of what a call debit spread looks like. And what's interesting with this one is it has been running it since dailies. It's been profitable every year, but it's actually still in a drawdown from over a year ago. It hit its high in July of 2024, and then from July to 2024 to Christmas had a really bad second half of the year. This year, if you look at it, what's interesting is looking at this chart, doesn't look like 2024 has been that great, and hasn't been that great, but it hasn't been bad either. This is basically allocating 3% of the port. So you're basically just doing a small number, 1 probably at the beginning of the year. Yeah, 1 at the beginning of the year, and then now you've worked your way up to 3, again, depending on what the vol is doing. So like this last one, actually, you would have been pretty happy because you would have had 3 of them on and it went for a winner. Then again, right before that, lost 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the last times in this month. So it can go for a full winner, as you see here, but it can also lose quite a bit. And just a reminder, we're using 1 minute data on these entries, and it's using the opening range high breakout, and it's using the high-low values. So the way to think about it is that it is using both the candles and the wicks to calculate the opening range. And then if at the 1 minute value that it's measuring, the market is above that range, that's considered a high breakout, and it will enter the backtest. So we're looking at the range from open until 10:30. This is customizable. And then we're using the entry time between 11 and 1. This is also customizable. Of course, you can test high breakouts, low breakouts, or both. I would say the most common way of backtesting these is the high breakouts only, although there are some low orbs that have been shared on the Discord. And then we have some commissions and fees. We have some entry slippage, although you could argue that you may want to put a little bit more entry slippage on it. Then we have some stop loss slippage. So when you get stopped out, you're going to have an additional 20 cents of stop loss slippage. Again, that's just to simulate the stop loss trying to get a fill. It's at the 1 minute on the mid. So this would be 20 cents below that. The entry would be 5 cents above the entry point mid when the breakout happens. And some people test with a little more slippage on the entry, a little bit less on the stop loss. That's dealer's choice. There's people who have been automating these for a long time on OO, so you can get some feedback on the slippage from the Discord. So this is our orb, and we can backtest it because it's this simple trade. We can actually backtest it a little bit farther. So let's run it back to 2020. And again, if you're interested in these opening range breakouts, I would encourage you to take the free class on Option Omega Academy. I'll drop the link in the description box below this video. And here we go. So it did okay. It actually won every year. Now, if we look at it, it was really choppy for a couple of years. And there's a really legitimate discussion because you had in 2020, you had a 9 CAGR and your MAR would have been sub 1 because your drawdown was 15. Same thing in 2021. Ended up the year profitable, but woof. I don't think a lot of people would keep trading that through a 30% drawdown on only a 3% allocation. So maybe there are some other things that you want to add to this backtest to see some different variations. So we'll come back to this version that is going from dailies. And as always, these backtests are a starting point. Take them, make the strategies your own. You can play around on Option Omega. I will share this one in the description box as well, and we will see you on the Discord. Thank you.